Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Repair Café TV. I'm Don Fick, and I'll be your host as we talk with our coaches and our guests about a variety of repair projects. Tonight we've got kind of a couple changes we're going to do in case you've tuned in with us before. But even if you haven't, I'll tell you a little bit about how this works. We have a group of our volunteer repair coaches who participate in repair cafes across the U.S. are joining us this evening to help provide you with some advice about the repair projects you may be doing. So we've got, you'll see their video on the screen. Now, for you at home who are one of our guests, your video is not shared on the screen. So what we'll do is we'll give you the opportunity to raise your hand and then present your project. And then we'll talk with you about your repair project. And while you are presenting your idea, your project, you'll be potentially on video, certainly on audio, but meanwhile you're muted. So if the dog is barking or if you're cooking dinner or something, don't worry, we can't hear you. We've got our coaches are dialing in now, and we've got folks joining us from really all around the world. We've got coaches in the US, and our guests are in the US, and I know one of our guests is dialing in from the UK, so it's great to have them here as well. So we've got about 8 people in the audience. Those are the folks that you can't see. And then we've got myself and 4 coaches on screen right now. We've got Richard and Dan. They're dialing in from Western North Carolina, the WNC Repair Café. We've got Dave is in Schenectady, New York. That's upstate near Albany. And then we've got Ray from Massachusetts. Give us a wave, Ray.
Hi.
And just joining us, we've got Tom, and Tom is in Cary, North Carolina. And so I think we've got a quorum of coaches, so we can get started. So if you're in the audience and you're ready to present one of your repair projects, we're going to ask you to raise your hand. So if you don't see an option on the screen to raise your hand, there'll be a little, maybe a more menu at the bottom of the screen that may allow you to see a button that says raise or lower hand, and you'll be able to raise your hand. And I see Kathy has raised her hand. And so let me just, before we get started, let me just explain a little bit more about Repair Café. If you haven't had the opportunity to join us at a Repair Café event in the past, normally we meet in person. Obviously, current conditions don't permit us to do that. But for the remainder of the year, we're going to try to do online live conversations about repair. We may not be able to walk you through step by step as we normally would in a Repair Café in-person event, but hopefully we'll give you enough suggestions, enough ideas that you'll be able to run with it there at home, maybe with tools you have, or with tools you'll be able to borrow from a friend, or maybe purchase from a home improvement store or hardware store. You may be able to find just what you need in your own town to be able to do a successful repair. And so we hope to be able to give you some inspiration, some ideas, some suggestions to make that possible. And hopefully we're going to have fun. We're here for up to an hour and a half, depending on how many people join us, how many projects you may present. So we're going to, let's see, do we have any other coaches that joined us? Nope, I think we've got the lineup that I introduced. So we're going to get started. We're going to invite Kathy to present her project. And Kathy, it'll just take a moment as you join the call here. Do you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, great. And Kathy, if you don't mind, can we put you on video so that you can share your project?
Sure.
Okay, so this will just take a moment. And Kathy is going to join us by video. And I know that, let's see, it's just a little bit of a hiccup sometimes as this goes along. There we are. Hey, Kathy.
Yes. Started video. Yeah.
Kathy, you've joined us in the past for our live in-person events, isn't that right?
Yes. Yes, I have.
That's great. So, well, thanks for joining us. And what are you working on today?
Well, it may be fixed. Wouldn't that be lovely? So, what I have.
You know,
everyone good thoughts, fixing thoughts.
That's right.
I have an older clock radio cassette player that I really like because I still have cassettes. And it didn't seem like this cassette player part was working. Everything else seems fine except that. And I tried it a few times, but in getting set up, you know, bringing this over here and putting in a cassette tape, the cassette tape seems to be running. And I don't know, I think maybe because in getting ready for this, what I did was I looked down underneath, there's a battery as well as the electricity, and maybe it was loose. And I'm thinking that maybe because the motor for a cassette player takes more, juice or something than just electricity. Maybe that's why it didn't work before, because it's a 9-volt battery, so it's kind of smaller than this space. I don't know, but it seems to be okay now. I thought that maybe the motor wore out. I don't know why it would. I don't use it that often, but it seems to be okay now. I don't know if anybody has it.
Problem solved.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to question the fact that it is working, but we may have some suggestions for you anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. How often do you clean the heads? And how often do you clean the drive?
Well, I do have from Radio Shack a cassette cleaner, which I haven't used in a long time, but I even have a little bottle with the fluid in it, so I can run that through there. Again, I ran it through my other machine that's like this recently, but I can run it through there. Maybe that'll help. You're saying?
It's also possible that first of all, I think the 9-volt battery is for the backup for the clock on the clock radio, not for the motor.
Yes.
And also just because the cassette isn't turning doesn't mean the motor isn't running, because there's rubber belts in there and they turn to goo and stop working. So it might be that the belt is broken or gone to goo. I would press play and put your ear up to it and hear if it makes any sound. Like you hear a motor running sound. And if you hear it running, but nothing's turning, I'm guessing it would be a belt.
Okay. Well, it is working now. So when I press play, you hear the music on the cassette player. But if the belts have melted, is that the end of it? Pretty much?
You can replace them. They can be, sometimes they're really easy to replace and sometimes they're very difficult to replace. It just depends on the device.
Yeah. This is a very compact one. It's not, it's not like a Heathkit or something like that. Remember Heathkit?
Yeah.
You guys remember Heathkit.
You're bringing back with Radio Shack and Heathkit, you're bringing back a lot of the old stuff.
I know.
Great.
I know. But this is the sort of thing that says, do not open, attention,
Yeah.
No serviceable parts.
I ignore all that stuff.
That wasn't it.
The drive belt is not likely to be as much of a problem as a glaze building up on the wheel in the pinch roller. The pinch roller is just a little wheel which through a spring action pinches the tape and pulls it across the reed head. And that can build up a glaze, kind of like it gets hard and not soft rubber anymore.
Yeah.
So if you can see that pinch roller, this may sound strange, but take the fine side of a fingernail file.
Yeah, like an emery board or like type of
An emery board. And as the roller is turning, as the wheel is turning, if you can see it, if you can get to it, gently, or even a piece of real fine sandpaper, try to break that glaze without damaging the wheel at all. It'll take a little bit of finesse to do it, but you can get that glaze off that wheel, and then you'll have to take Q-tips and rubbing alcohol and clean all of that crud out of the machine that you've created by doing that.
Now, should the cleaning cassette and fluid that I have, that should do that also?
It might have failed to do it over the years.
Yeah, I haven't run it in a while.
Well, if it's running, then it was sounding okay. Then I'm guessing, and it wasn't running before. I mean, the glaze may be part of it, but it may be something else that's intermittent if it wasn't working at all before.
There could be something else going on, but just the visual inspection of that wheel, if it looks like it's a hard glaze on it, breaking the glaze off and You know, I've had some experience with 30-year-old tape players and 25-year-old tape players that have that on there, and it's insidious.
Hey, Dave,
Okay.
do you think maybe a little rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol on a
Rub it,
Q-tip
rubbing, if it
might
doesn't
be a
look
good way to
hard
go?
and glazed, just cleaning it manually with, like you're saying, with like a Q-tip, alcohol, and a little bit of love, where the automatic Radio Shack cleaning gizmo may not actually do it well.
Okay.
A little bit of finesse, a little bit of visual observation and cleaning might do a better job.
So Kathy, you know, our Repair Cafe events typically lack music. So when we are able to meet in person again, I hope you'll come out, bring that with you, and a couple tapes, and
Okay.
and you can spin some tunes while we're around.
One more thing to check.
Yes.
What's the cord look like going into the back of the radio? Is it like an AC cord, like a thick cord?
I
Okay.
mean,
It's permanently attached, right?
yes.
Okay. Sometimes when they have a plug that plugs in, they'll get loose, and then when they get loose, it doesn't play. So, but if it's
No.
hardwired, then you also might be your outlet.
Maybe it's
Right,
in
a different outlet.
It's in a multi plug.
Multi-plug, because sometimes those things will wear out, or they'll get kind of they'll just get kind of some buildup on them, and they won't work. We've had two things come into our in-person cafe, which basically they say, "Oh, it doesn't work," and we plugged it in and it worked.
It's so embarrassing.
So a couple, and one was a TV. It was very bizarre. So I tried plugging into a different plug somewhere in your house, and try one that doesn't have a multi adapter on it, and see
Okay.
if it works. That's worth trying first, I would say.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Great. Well,
Well, thanks,
thank you
Kathy.
very much. Appreciate it.
Stick around and watch the rest of the show, where we're going to ask you to rejoin the audience and then give someone else a chance to present their project. So, yep, if you have never been to one of our Repair Cafe events in person, you definitely need to make a plan in 2021 to come out to one, and you'll see something that's really kind of unusual. I think it's a very unique vibe that we have at Repair Cafe, where you'll see people at tables all around the room working on a variety of different projects, ranging from toys to furniture to electronics. So we'd like to give our next guest an opportunity to present their project. Would anyone like to raise their hand, and we can call on you to join the call tonight and invite you to present your project? We've got 10 people out in the audience, so surely somebody's got something they'd like to discuss. Even if you don't have it, we can certainly talk to you about it. Otherwise, you know, I'll have to show you one of my own repair projects. So, all right, we see Wally is asking to join us. And Wally, are you there?
Yep.
Okay, and Wally, what kind of project did you bring to share with us tonight?
Oh, I have a plethora of them. But one is we would like to take some VHS tapes that we've got and convert them to digital. Now, some of them are PAL tapes. Some of them are NTSC.
Okay.
Not a surprise with the accent. But I've got a multi-standards VCR. And what it's doing whenever I put a VCR tape into it is spitting it out. Not telling me why.
So, and Wally, do you have the VCR there with you now?
No, not right now. Sorry about that.
Would you like to join us by video anyway?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let me go ahead and this will just take a moment as the software toggles around. I'm also going to go step aside and pull something out of the closet here. I'll be right back.
I haven't switched my camera on clearly.
Okay.
Now, VCRs, when I was in college, I had a part-time job fixing VCRs in college. So if it's kicking it out, I would guess it could be the heads are dirty.
Right.
They're relatively safe to clean. You have to be really careful. There's like a part of the head that's very it's almost like a razor blade. It's really, really thin and it's kind of hard to describe, but there's two heads. They're on opposite sides of a drum.
Yeah.
Down low, there'll be a little slot and you'll see the head there. And if you can clean off the metal part, but you don't want to clean the head part because you'll break it.
Right.
And so sometimes it's almost like a cassette tape. It will get a buildup of debris on the wheel, on the belts and on the spools, the little spools that spin. And sometimes just using some alcohol and a Q-tip and cleaning that up will make it start working again.
Okay. Right.
It's hard to tell without taking the lid off, though.
Yeah. Right.
It's
I'm
kind of
not
a mystery
actually gotten down
box.
to doing that yet.
So
Very similar to Kathy's issue with her tape player. A lot of the same kind of mechanical components, just different size and different layout.
Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate that. And just a strange pathway through the machine. But that's that. And then I've got a DVR that I bought that's DVR and CD designed for transferring from, not DVR, VHS, from VHS to DVD. Similar kind of problem. Now, both of them have not been used for an awful lot of time.
have you been testing it with the same tape each time?
No, I've used different tapes, Powerland, NTSC, different tapes. The transferer one or converter one is not PAL.
But it won't even let you put it in, right? You put it in, it kicks it right back out.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have a rewinder, a separate rewinder device?
No.
Because sometimes you can rewind it and fast forward it and loosen it up, and that will make it work.
All right.
If it's kicking it out, I'm pretty sure what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take the lid off,
Yeah.
and stick a tape in and watch what it does.
Right. Okay.
And there's another thing it's all coming back to me. It grabs the tape and it pulls it around the head.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, it sort of catches, and then it starts transferring. And I've seen some where it will go around and it will hit the end and it won't catch and it'll go right back. So how you fix that, I'm not sure. I'd have to see it, but I've seen them do that before too. And those will just kick the tapes right back out. They try to load and then it fails. So you might make a video of it if you have like a phone.
Yeah, I could do that.
Have your phone going and then stick the tape in and then let it run it, and we can see what it's doing.
Right. Excellent idea. Okay. Like the sound of that.
Yeah, Wally, we'll be here for a while. So if you wanted to, do you have the VCR or the converter machine nearby?
Yeah, I could see if I can grab it and disconnect it from all the other bloody cables behind it and get it out.
Yeah, play with it a bit, and then if you find something you'd like to show us, we'll be here until about 9 o'clock Eastern time. So you stay connected. Don't drop off. Where are you calling in from tonight?
North Carolina, Raleigh.
Oh yeah, whereabouts?
Raleigh.
Raleigh. Okay, great. Good to have you. And and I just grabbed this out of the closet. I wanted to show this to you. This is a product that I've had some good success with, connecting vintage VCRs to my computer to be able to convert directly to a video file rather than going to the DVD approach. So I don't know if they still make this. This is from Elgato is the name of the company.
Right, it's video capture. It's just one little box that you stick a tape into and it runs.
Yeah, what it is, it has a USB connection on one end, and then video and audio connections on the other end.
Right.
And you just plug it into your computer with the software and then play, and it captures the video as it plays off the VCR.
It doesn't replace the tape part, but it actually replaces the DVD part.
Right.
Unless you record it straight onto your computer.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's worth knowing. Great.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
I'll get that wee experiment and come back a little later and report.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Great.
And enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks for sharing that project. We're going to ask you to rejoin the audience, if I can just find the button that allows us to do that. And then we'll take our next guest. There we go. Would somebody, I know Kathy has texted and saying that she has another a project, a lamp, that she may be willing to share with us. But let's just, before we do that, give someone else a chance to join us. Okay, we're going to ask Bryan to join us. And Bryan, can we put you on video as well? Bryan, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I think
There
I'm
you
just unmuted. Yes. Good morning from the UK, across the pond. Nearly 1 o'clock in the morning, and the challenge is for me to stay awake. Just to say, yes, of course, put me on video. Let's hope that will.
Oh, I'm sorry, just a little break in the audio for a moment. So, Brian, you're one of the organizers of Repair Cafe there in Southern England, is that right?
Yes. Just trying to sort out the camera.
There you are. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Yes, there we are. See, we're all bearded, grey-haired, bearded men.
Your twin, you get your twin up here on the right.
Sorry, Don. No offense.
Some of us are
Different
following
degrees
the
of gray, that's all.
Somebody said that everyone in repair cafes look the same, so I guess it's worldwide. Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me on. This is just brilliant, fascinating. Very briefly, I started a repair cafe in East Sussex, which is in the south of England, if you know this part of the world, nearly 2 years ago, having volunteered as an electronic repairer at a neighbouring repair cafe. We got off to a really good start, and sadly, when the lockdown took place, which I guess here was around towards the end of March, we celebrated our 1,000th visitor. I've got 37 volunteers. We've managed to get through in a really good day, somewhere in the region of 90 repairs in 3 hours.
Wow.
And the kind of stuff that I've already seen that you've been addressing here is very similar to what we get. Just a very short bit about what's happened since lockdown. We haven't been as adventurous as you have with Repair TV, but what we have done is to offer a drop on your doorstep service. And since March, we've done 35 repairs where people write to me and say, I've got a toaster, I've got a blender, I've got a CD player. So a lot of sewing machines recently as well, because people are over here have been making face masks, to help protect against COVID-19. And I farm them out to the volunteers, ask if any of the volunteers want to do it. If they say yes, then we invite the customer to drop the item off on the doorstep of the volunteer. And when it's done, they make contact with them and they pick it up, and we invite donations. And so we get a bit of money put into the Repair Cafe bank as well. Of my volunteers, I've got about 12 or 13 who are prepared to do that. We also do a lot of advice, getting people to fix stuff themselves. Which, I guess is the kind of ethos of repair cafes. But the movement here in the UK has really, really taken off. When we opened in August 2018, we were the 66th repair cafe in the UK, and there's now about 180. So, you look worldwide. I know that in the States you've got a large number, and I think internationally it's just gone over 2,000, from what I gather from the central international organization. So that's pretty much what we're about. I guess a lot of that chimes with you, but what you're doing now, which is to invite people to come online, is great. I have to say that some of the people that come to us are of an age and of a generation where they're not very comfortable sometimes with IT. So one of the things that may stop us having such a successful venture as you have there is people are a bit reluctant. They're not very keen on using Facebook. A lot of people over here don't like it. But if we can get over that barrier, I think what you're doing is brilliant and something that we can tap into. And if you could just hold yours at a more respectable hour for us English people, I might join you.
Well, at least for tonight, Brian, we're going to try to keep you up. So perhaps we can invite you to remain on screen throughout and be one of our coaches.
Well, I'd be happy to do that if you'll have me do that. Yes, of course.
Yeah. So do you have a cup of coffee?
I've got to stay awake, haven't I? I've got to stay awake.
Yeah. So we'll try to keep it lively and exciting so that.
Oh yeah, please do. Just, if you see me nodding off, just shout. Any words.
And you can accompany us on your guitars there. I see in the background.
Oh yeah, yes. Sorry, it's a bit of a giveaway. Something else that I do. Yes, I play music. Yeah.
So
but I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that now.
Yeah.
You don't want any old English folk songs at this time of the night. I can tell you.
I promise I won't get out my ukulele.
Why not? Why not?
So we're going to then invite another one of our guests. Actually, Wally would like to come back and talk about his VCR. So Bryan, if you will stick around, and I'm guessing Wally with his PAL tapes is probably from your side of the globe. So let's see. Hey, Wally, are you there?
I certainly is.
All right. So Wally, do you want to share a video of something that you've been working on?
Well, I haven't had a chance to do that yet. I've got the machine out, I put it on the table, I'm ready to pull it apart. But I heard Brian's accent. I have another project. Like I said, a plethora of the damn things.
Okay.
This one was a beauty and frustration. Okay, this is for Brian's entertainment probably more than anything else. But I have a Pioneer PL12D turntable. I am a vinyl collector, have been for, oh gosh, since I was a teenager, about 10 years. And the Pioneer 12D is quite a nice turntable, and I've just spent a few hours cleaning it up, getting it working again. It had a platter that wouldn't turn, and I found out how to clean up all the gunk from that and sort that out, and it spins beautifully. The motor seemed to be going at the wrong speed, so I've worked on that, and it was a potentiometer problem, so that's fixed. And it's working absolutely perfectly.
Except?
If I was in Britain.
Ah.
Turns out the capstan is a 50 hertz capstan. Yeah, that was my feeling. All that bloody work, got the thing working perfectly, and now I've got a 50 hertz capstan. The frustrating thing about it, though, was that apparently this turntable was shipped to Europe with both capstans. It was shipped to the USA, God, I love trade protection, with only the 60 hertz capstan. So what's really got my goat is in Britain, Brian, there must be a million of these bloody turntables sat around collecting dust with owners with capstans sat in drawers doing nothing.
Yeah, I feel I'm beginning to take responsibility for something here. We did Brexit, you know, you can beat me up for that if you like. You know. If I just may say that I had the opposite. It's a weird story because I bought a brand new Garrett UK record deck from the States where it had been loitering in a store which had closed down.
Right.
And this British UK-made Garrett deck made in Swindon, it came over to me with a 60 hertz capstan, but as luck would have it, the 50 hertz capstan was in there in a bag, so I was able to swap them over.
Yeah.
So you're stuck with a 50 hertz capstan, and you're running on 110 volts, 60 hertz in the US. Is that it? Okay. And is the capstan easy to remove? Can you just simply undo?
Yeah, it's a dodge.
Yeah. Can I
one we screw?
Just for a moment. Hold
Lift
on.
it up. Put the new one down.
So for all of our other viewers, what is a capstan?
Oh, when you've got the turntable turns, it's driven in this case by a belt. The belt goes around the turntable itself, around the platter, and then round a drive that's called a capstan.
It's like a motor.
It has two diameters, one for 45 and one for 33 revs per minute. But of course, the motor is driven, it's not a direct voltage.
Direct drive.
It's not a DC motor. It's
right. AC. It's a synchronous motor.
Yeah, so it gets its speed from the frequency of the main supply, the power supply to the house.
So it's permanently slow, right?
Yeah. It's exactly 20%.
You know, we have had some success with a couple other brands of being able to get repair parts. And I wonder if you wouldn't be able to order a replacement capstan from Pioneer.
Or eBay.
Or eBay, right. That would be.
I've gone hunting for it, and so far I've had no luck.
Not even eBay?
No. Very irritating.
There is another fix, and you're going to have to remind me whether what you need to do is to increase or decrease the size of your current capstan. Do you know which it is?
That's just the
Right. Well, if
I'd
it's
say,
if it's
right?
if it's decreased, then what you do is you take it, you put it on a lathe, and you
Yeah.
very carefully shave it off. I've done that.
Yeah.
If
Have you
it's
actually done?
increased,
Wow.
yeah. If it's increased, then you can sleeve it.
Yeah, I did come across an article somewhere where somebody put several layers of lacquer around it to achieve that goal, which is not a bad way of doing it because then you can remove the lacquer. But getting it uniform around the capstan is an interesting chat. I think you'd have to have it spinning while you were doing it. But yeah, I just had to impart that, seeing as you were there, Brian.
Ollie, get back to work on that VCR.
I shall sign off and go and do my duty with the VCR.
Yes.
Have a jolly good time.
And we'll be here, so come on back. Susan, hello and welcome to Repair Cafe TV.
Hi.
Hi.
This is probably a really simple thing to do, but I don't know how to do it. I bought a lamp I liked at the thrift store, and I plug it in and nothing happens. So I don't know if it's the plug, if it's the innards of the lamp. I don't have a picture of it. It's in the garage right now and it's getting dark. How do I fix that?
Well,
I put a new bulb. I used a new bulb and it still didn't work.
Okay. Do you want to get the lamp and bring it in so you have a chance to show it to us?
Okay, hold on.
Okay, I'm going to promote you to a panelist so you can share video too. And while Susan is getting that, I do actually have something prepared for a demonstration. I have a lamp, so we may be able to give a demonstration live while also instructing Susan about what she can do with her lamp. Now, I will admit that I don't think I've ever replaced the socket of a lamp before. And so I have a whole group of coaches here who are going to be able to talk me through it. Now, that's not to say that I don't do a ton of repairs myself, but for whatever reason, life has just not presented me with a broken lamp up until now. So we have a chance to do this together. And let's see, is Susan still there? Did she drop off? Susan may have dropped off, so we'll give her a minute to get reconnected. And yeah, so I was like, last weekend I was rolling around in my driveway changing the shocks on my truck. So no problem doing that. So I'm sure this won't be a problem either.
It's usually it's a switch. Usually the switch wears out.
Yep, I've got a replacement part. Let's see here. Walmart, great source of replacement sockets. Now this is going to look a bit different than what Brian would have in his house, I think. So this is an Edison base bulb. Oh, I didn't bring a bulb. I should get a bulb. Oh, wait, here's one. Hold on a second. Okay. So this is a A19 bulb with an E26 base.
Oh, she's back.
Hang on.
Okay. And
I found it.
Great.
The Zoom turned off. I had to start over. I'm sorry. I'm just back.
No, that's okay. And then you can also share a video if you'd like.
Well, we can. Hang on a sec. How do I do that?
There is probably a little button. Are you using your computer or phone?
Phone.
You should perhaps see in the bottom of the screen, start video.
Okay, tap that.
Try pushing that.
Okay. My hair's frizzy, it's humid. Okay. If I can get this.
There you are. Yep. We can see you.
Hello.
Great.
Lamp. It's not a pretty lamp. Actually, the one I like, it's out there somewhere, but here's another one that won't turn on. Hang on. If I could get the harp off. I'm not sure how to do that. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yep. Meanwhile, Susan, I have one here that we can walk through.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do yours.
Okay. So, let's see. So this is a lamp that my wife brought home recently, and he said, "Here, you can you do Repair Cafe. You can fix this."
You can do this.
Take a look. Okay. So, and I've got a bulb, which there we go in front of the camera. All right. So that's the bulb we're putting into it. This is just a single bulb. This is not a three-way bulb.
Okay.
And so the first question you had is, how do you take the harp off? So you
Yeah, I
look at
can't
these
remember.
two little rings here, and you give a little squeeze to the base,
Mhm.
and then you can wiggle it off. And that's pretty easy. Yep, you can take it with the lamp, or you can remove the finial from the top of the lampshade and then remove the shade first, and then take off the harp.
Okay, well, I got it.
And I'm going to attempt to do this with only one tool. So, a couple of years back, we had a little thing on our Facebook page about what kind of tools should you give your family repair person for Christmas. And Tom actually recommended this one here. Let's see.
Awesome.
So, you remember this one, Tom?
Yep. Yeah.
This is a 4-way screwdriver,
My favorite.
which is got a great set of reversible bits. So you've got kind of a medium-sized Phillips and straight blade, and then you can put that in, or you can pull this apart. And then we've got another set of screwdrivers. We've got a smaller, like number 1 Phillips and straight and regular standard blade. And so you've got 4 screwdrivers in one, and it's a great thing to have in your junk drawer or, at the ready whenever a project comes up. And I think we can do this whole repair with just this one tool.
Oh.
First thing we're going to do is take off the little knob. Now this lamp doesn't have it, but most likely the reason you'll know that you need to replace the socket is when you turn the knob. This is the new one, which I've messed up. There, it clicked very nicely. And you guys will hear that next to the microphone. Right? If it has kind of a crunchy sound to it or doesn't sound healthy, then that may be the problem.
Okay, mine's clicking real nice.
And we should maybe just double check that it does actually not work. So, but you did have a bulb in it, you plugged it in, doesn't work.
Yeah, let me go see if I can. I'll be
I
right
forgot
back.
to mention, and you guys, I've got a room full of coaches here. You should remind me that step 1 was to unplug the lamp,
Oh,
which I
Good
did.
idea.
All right, so unplug the lamp.
oh shoot. I'm just moving in and I'm scatterbrained and everything's in weird places.
Well, if you'd like to watch what we're going to do on screen, and then you can.
Yeah, I can just watch. I don't know
Okay.
where the bulb went. I took it out and I don't even know what I did with it. Yeah, I'll just watch.
All right, and then coaches, tell me when I go wrong, okay? So, all right, let's get a good contrasting background. There we go. Okay, so we've got the little knob is off of it, and then we've got the top half will just unthread. You can just screw it off.
Okay.
Some of them snap together. Some of the older ones snap together.
Okay, this one came off. I guess it's older.
Okay. So I think you were probably in the garage finding the lamp, but I mentioned that I bought my replacement lamp socket at Walmart. You can get them in the hardware stores, so pretty easy to find near you. And they're about $5 a piece, give or take. And I'm replacing this one with a 3-way. You'll want to take a look at what kind of socket you're buying. Make sure that it's the, either just simply on and off, or kind of the low, medium, high, off style of a 3-way. And then now we've got the inside attached to the lamp cord, and you can see that. I'll zoom in a little bit closer. Let's see. Okay. Just tip this down. Oh, there we go. Good stuff. All right. Can everybody see that well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice video.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can I put a 3-way on this lamp without any trouble? I don't know if it was before.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
So now you'll notice here the wires are inserted directly into the base of the socket. The new one is a little bit different. The new one has terminals that we're going to attach the wire to. A little screw. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Come on, camera, focus.
I see it.
Anyway, the gold thing is a screw on one end, and there's a screw there. One is bronze or gold in color, and one is white or silver. The silver one will be for the neutral wire, and the bronze one, whoops, there we go, will be for the hot wire. Now that's kind of tricky to figure out which is which. My coaches may have some guidance on that.
The ridge, is the ridge on the ground wire or is the ridge on the hot wire?
Okay, so we got to look at the lamp wire itself. And one of them's got kind of a bumpy texture to it, as Tom described. It's kind of ribbed. And then the other wire is smooth. Who knows which is which?
I keep forgetting. I have to look it up.
Look it up.
We have a polarized plug, right? So our plug has a fat end, a fat blade, and a thin blade. And that helps us make sure that we stick it into the outlet on the wall the right way, so that one of them is hot and one of them is neutral. When we're doing household wiring, we don't talk in terms of positive and negative like you would with a battery. Instead, we talk about hot, which is the black wire, and neutral, which is the white wire. All right, so I'm going to use wire cutters. We've got just basic wire cutters here, and I'm just going to cut off the
Okay,
socket.
it says here go ahead and cut it. It says the ribbed side is the neutral.
Okay.
Okay.
That usually goes to the fat prong on the plug, the neutral.
Right.
Yeah, or in this case, it'll be the white one.
Yeah.
White,
Chrome.
wide, ribbed. There are the three things you need to remember.
Yep.
Say that again, Dave?
Okay, I'm saying this again. The white wire, the ribbed wire, and the wide connection are the neutral. Always and forevermore, burn it into your brain and you'll never get hurt. Okay, that's sacrosanct in the US. The white wire, wide connection, and the ribbed on a lamp cord. It's not going to be white. It's going to be ribbed. And it'll be something you can barely feel. If you look at the lamp cord, you will not be able to see it well, but you can feel it.
So what you should have below the socket is this kind of funky looking knot, which if everybody can see that, and that's an Underwriters.
Yeah, I've seen that before in other lamps.
And that's, yep, that should be there. So I'm guessing maybe perhaps somebody changed the socket on yours in the past and just didn't retie the knot. And
I wonder if this is some newfangled garbage thing that you're not supposed to be able to fix.
well, no, that it is replaceable. That's what we've done here. In my case, is I've cut the wire with my wire cutters. And so now I'm going to untie this knot and hope that somebody can help me retie it. And then I'm going to use the wire cutters and just gently cut the insulation of about 3/4 of an inch or 2 centimeters. No, that was for Brian. But, and then just try to gently cut it, not all the way through the wire. If you do, well, that happens. But, and then kind of pull it off.
And if you're doing a lot of this, then you can buy another tool called a wire stripper that
Yep.
you set so it doesn't cut the
Definitely.
wire, and it just cuts through the insulation.
Saves your fingernails.
Okay.
But I wanted to try to do this with as few tools.
Wire stripper is a good tool to have, but that breaks your one tool rule.
Right, well, he's up to
Yeah, that's
2
right.
already.
We've already
So.
broken. We're into the 2-tool rule, but
Oh, yeah, well,
but at
yeah,
least these are both.
go for the 50 tool rule and you'll never have to worry.
I'll tell you what. Wait a second. All right, let me put the wire cutter away. We could use scissors. So just assuming that this is really not it's a tool, but everybody has one in their home. So we can use scissors instead of a wire cutter, and it might actually be a little bit easier because they'll go through the insulation, but maybe not through the wire. And
What a wire cutter looks like is a pair of scissors with a divot in the blade anyway.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, my dad has those. He's fixed things for me before, but now I'm across the country.
Uh-huh.
So I don't have my fix-it.
And Susan, where are you tonight?
I'm in Sanford, North Carolina.
Okay, yeah. So that's just sort of southwest of Raleigh or south
Yeah.
of the hill.
Are most of you in North Carolina?
We, well, no, it's a mix. So I'm in North Carolina, and then Ray is in Massachusetts. Dave is in New York State. Tom, Dan, and they're in North Carolina. Is Richard still here? Yep, Richard's in North Carolina. And then Brian is in the south of England. Kind of making this an international effort here, which I am bungling because I'm not thoroughly cutting through the insulation.
My screen has gone from you being big to all, the four of us. The two bearded gentlemen, me and you. Is there a way to get back so I can see what you're doing better?
Let me try to, I don't know how much, yeah, it should be large. So there's usually a button that allows you to change the view. You might have speaker view, which
view
make
is
it larger.
Okay, I don't see a speaker. I see participants and I see a more.
Try more. Always
Try
good
more.
things found under the more menu.
Okay. Chat, webinar settings, virtual background, raise hand.
I think it's called gallery view.
Oh, gallery view. That's, well, that
Gallery view is the one, right, where you see everybody.
Yeah.
But then it will also, usually it'll say speaker view, thinking you can switch to that. It might be down near the bottom. You're on the phone?
Yes, sir.
So look on the bottom, down near the bottom, kind of move your finger there or up near the top.
Okay. I see.
I'm also looking on my end to see if I can make it larger or priority.
It was working before. Now it's changed to everybody. Well, no, now it's just me and one gentleman. Okay, now there's four of us.
What kind of phone do you have?
It's an iPhone.
It says here you swipe across the screen.
Try swiping, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh dear.
Okay, so we've got stranded wire. You know, there's two different kinds of wire, solid wire and stranded wire. Lamp cord is going to be stranded. And so I gently twist it clockwise to tighten up on the strands so that we have just a single, effectively a single piece of wire. All right, back to our single tool project. We've got the screwdriver. We're going to use the Phillips head screwdriver because it's a little bit more secure. And we're going to loosen up on these screws. Let's see. So I'm going to loosen up the white screw, turning it left, opening that up a bit, and the brass colored screw, turning that left and open that up a bit. All right. Now we're ready to attach it to the wire, but I need to retie my Underwriters knot.
Does it have to be that specific knot?
Well, yeah, technically it does. So the knot serves two purposes. It's a strain relief, so that if somebody pulls on the cord, you're less likely to detach the wire from the socket. And I think it also serves as a stop to prevent the wire from being pulled all the way through the lamp.
Okay.
And technically it does have to be that knot, but
You could just do like a loop knot where you loop it around and pull it through.
yeah. So, you know, there are definitely ways we can get away with it. Unless anybody knows how to guide me through tying this knot, or if any of our guests want to raise their hand and tell me how to tie that knot.
Here is an Underwriters Knot. Can you see it?
Okay, I'm gonna make your video, at least for me, I don't know if you guys see it, but I'm gonna make Dave's video larger. Okay, so so the one side goes up. All right, I'll try to duplicate it. If you can just hold it clear on the screen.
Make one loop forward, one loop backwards, and then you take the two strands and you run them through those two loops. That's how it was explained to me when I was a kid.
Okay, well, as Peter has rightly said on the chat, there are lots of YouTube videos out there. So I encourage anyone who might be doing this at home to watch a YouTube video. Here we go. All right, I'm back.
There we go.
All right, so I've got something like a knot there.
Yes.
We're not going to critique it. We're just going to roll with it. And then we're going to attach the white wire. I'm just going to gently hook it on so that when I tighten the screw to the right, it's going to continue to wind the wire around the screw. And that's going to help ensure that it stays tight.
Okay. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And let's
And
see.
the other way is instead of just saying right, it clockwise,
Yes, clockwise.
Clockwise.
because it might get confusing which the top is going right, but the bottom is going left. So
And I'm
Yeah.
gonna make that good and snug.
Or anti-clockwise.
And then
Right.
But another way of putting it is put the wire around the screw the way the screw is tightened, and it won't unwind
Yep.
the wire.
Right.
Remember how you tighten the wires strands up by twisting them? If you if you take that wire and wrap it around the screw and then tighten the screw down opposite direction, you're going to basically take all those strands you carefully twisted together, and you're going to undo that by tightening the screw down, and it's going to make a fire
wrong
hazard.
way, right?
Okay. Now,
Oh, okay.
who has noticed the thing I forgot to do? I did not remove the base. I'm assuming that my replacement socket is compatible with my old socket, and I took a shortcut and I did not replace the base of the socket. So if I wanted to do that, I would just remove, before I had rewired the socket, I would use a screwdriver to remove this small set screw that appears under here. And that should allow me to then remove the socket. This is very difficult to do on camera.
Should unscrew.
And yeah, there it goes. Okay, I don't want to take the whole lamp apart. And since pretty much any modern lamp is using exactly the same socket, you can just replace the socket part and keep the old housing the same. So the part that we originally screwed off will screw back on to its old counterpart, and we'll be able to put this whole thing back together again. So
But it's
we can-
good to check that kind of before you start putting the wires on, in case it doesn't fit.
That's right. I should have,
Right.
I forgot, but I feel like we spent enough time on this already. So I'm going to gently tuck the wires back down into the lamp. Now, sometimes you may need to remove the base of the lamp to be able to pull the wire down, which we might have to do. Or we can just kind of cram it in there and hope that works. We're going to take this cap and screw that back on top. All right. We're going to, let's see, plug this in.
Smoke test.
And the light bulb. Oh,
Yay.
there it is.
There's that. How does it go off? Yep.
And this is a three-way socket with a two-way bulb. So it's off, on, off, on. So that's the way it should work because it's only a standard bulb.
But
We
if you
have-
have a three-way bulb, then it'll go low, medium, high.
Right. So there we are. So
Thank you.
Susan, you think that's something you can do?
Yes, I think I can. Once I get the stuff.
Yeah, and
This
you
is
know,
a
just
cheap, this is a cheap Chinese thing. It doesn't have the stuff you're talking about. I think I may just chuck it. Or if I can buy that part, I'm pointing at your lamp. That doesn't work. The like that, yes. If I can buy one of those.
yeah. So you can buy that at Walmart, at a local hardware store.
Okay.
And yeah, Walmart in their tool aisle will have them for less than $5.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then
And you could take a picture of what yours looks like and bring it with you just to make sure the one you get, looks the same, because there are different varieties
Okay.
in terms of, how they mount to the lamp and whether they have a pulse, a switch that turns or a switch that pushes back and forth.
Okay. Okay.
so
Well,
that's,
this one turns.
Yeah,
Those are the
and
knotty things.
just make sure if you're going to go with the three-way that on the package, it says three-way
Okay.
on the switch packet.
Okay. Okay.
And that concludes my demonstration. I'm going to put the
Thank you.
heart back in here. And that's it. My wife has a new lamp.
Yay.
Oh, and never pull the plug by the wire like I just did. All right. So I
Thank
hope
you.
everyone has enjoyed that little demonstration. Thank you, Susan, for giving us an intro to doing that little demonstration. Is still here, and she had a question about her lamp. This is not Susan's lamp, but Kathy's lamp. So we're going to check in with Kathy quick, and then I see Wally is also back with his VCR. So Kathy, I'm going to put you on, and are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, so you had a question about your lamp. You think you're having a similar problem that Susan was having with hers?
I would bet. I don't know if you need to see it or not, but you
Yeah,
can.
sure. We can. It'll take a moment to activate the video, so just
Okay.
sit tight.
It's a tall one, so I might have to adjust my screen. But it's like the switch doesn't always like catch. So maybe it's not connected the way that it should be. Maybe I need to take it apart.
Okay, so this is software is being a little bit sluggish, but you should switch over. Are you still there? Yeah. Oh,
I'm there.
So rather than like a really solid click, it sort of just, it's like a plop. It's kind of like, it's like it doesn't have the click it used to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a
It's
target lamp.
I'd say the turner is worn out. That will wear out. So you really can't fix those. But you have to replace the whole mechanism.
which would
Okay.
be comparable to what we just did.
Yeah. You replace the whole thing. You don't replace just the clicker part.
$5 at Walmart, a pair of scissors, and one fancy screwdriver.
Okay.
And you'll be ready to go.
And make sure that the if you make sure the type of one you buy matches the one you have, then you may be able to leave most of it put back together and not have to take all the parts off. If the bottoms have and top half of that thing match, it would just like it, and it should. Otherwise, you have to take the whole thing out and then put the new one back on, and sometimes you run into trouble.
There are caveats. If this is a halogen lamp, then the socket might be different. Okay.
No, and it's supposed to be a three-way, which is why it's specifically annoying. But it'll turn on, but like it won't go low, medium, high.
Yeah.
Like right now, it didn't turn on, but maybe it's still on the third one or something like that.
Yep. So yeah, you can give it a try yourself, and if you get halfway through, you're not confident with it, then you'll come in and see us maybe whenever we get a chance to reconvene in person.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Okay, and I'm going to leave you on screen, and we're going to ask Wally to join us.
Any news?
Well, you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
I hear you.
There you go. Good.
I'm sure my wife doesn't believe I need to unmute myself. Right. Let's see if I.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, you have a virtual background on? You'll need to turn that.
Yeah. How do I switch it off?
Probably on the video, there's a little arrow, and you
Video
click on it,
background.
you get options to choose your virtual background.
None.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, I see you.
Right.
I see your wood paneling.
Excuse that blasted light from above. Right, let's see.
So this is going to work. Okay.
Fish cakes. Okay.
Yeah, it's you can see that it starts to pull the tape and then it gets stuck.
Yeah.
So it's
photo. So I've done it several times, right?
Yeah.
To get a sense for what's really happening here. And this was the second try. Can you see what's happened to the tape? It stayed looped.
Yeah, see, it's gotten loose.
Yeah. So
does it
I
actually
have to remove the VCR again
But it's not,
tape.
is it ejecting? It's not ejecting, the tape is stuck in it now, right?
Yeah, I mean, what happened that time is it did exactly the same as you saw in the movie, where it brings it forward, brings the tapes around that big capstan or whatever, drum, and then retrieves it straight away.
Right.
In this case, it looped it round, then came back, but didn't wind back the tape back into the cassette.
So it didn't even, it probably didn't eject the tape. The tape stayed in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But only that once.
Right. I mean, I've seen some of those. Some of them will have where like two arms come up and pull the tape around the heads, and some will have just one that pulls it around the head.
There were two late levers that pulled each side around that large drum.
I would think what I would maybe look at is if you can find a place in there where there's some like rubber wheels. You could have like a rubber wheel that's rubbing against something, and if it's slipping, it would maybe get almost all the way, and it would slip, and then when it realized it couldn't pull the tape all the way, it would kick it out.
Right.
So I would look under there and see if or if there's any belts that look like they've gone bad or they're getting old in it.
Is that the large drum in the middle of this picture here?
Right. That's the head.
Yeah. Is that the reading head?
That's the reading head. And
okay. Right.
If you see, it actually connects to the head through that top connection on there.
Okay.
And then if you look kind of at the side of it, you'll see a spot. It'll be 180 across from each other. You'll see a spot where there's like a little notch. Yeah. There's like, you'll see a little. It almost looks like an edge of a razor blade.
Yeah.
Those are the heads.
Very similar to the head on a cassette tape player.
It's kind of different. It's kind of the same and kind of different. This one, the head spins, and it's basically reading stripes off the tape when it spins. Yes. So, and there's two heads.
That from what I saw of the pattern on that drum. So I would say the drum be spinning all the time.
Yeah, once
it seems to be having trouble getting going.
Yeah, I would see if there's some. If you got some like rubber drive wheels in there, and you may have to pull the bottom off and look. Maybe there's stuff underneath, and see if it's slipping. If it's slipping on something,
right?
Like you'll see like the black stuff will be on like a metal surface, and it's hard to say without seeing it up close and without actually seeing what it's doing.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's something that's not quite as grippy as it used to be, and it's giving up. You know, it's going, oh, I can't quite get down, and it just gives up.
Right. So, and is that drum directly attached to a motor? Do you know, or is it on a?
It is a motor. A motor is built into it.
Motor itself. That's what it looked like to me. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. But that should be spinning all the time. It will spin very
quickly too.
Yeah.
It will look like it's standing still. It will spin so fast.
All right.
So it spins pretty quickly.
Okay.
But when it's running, the tape should be advancing, and it should be moving up and around the loop and around the head, and then back down into the cassette.
Right. Okay.
Now, Peter in the chat suggested that you try a couple of different tapes and then try fast forward and rewind with the tape and see if that.
Couldn't get fast forward or rewind working at all, but that's partly because it's not actually loading the tape to the point.
It keeps ejecting the tape, right?
It's not getting to the point, where it's mounted, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why if you had a rewinder, you might go to the thrift store or Goodwill and see if they have you can sometimes find these VCR tape rewinders.
Yeah.
It's about the size of a tape, and you put the tape in, and all it does is rewind tapes.
Yeah, I've seen them
flip it over.
Yeah.
So sometimes those are useful.
Manually just then when it left it loose.
Right, and then it would spin it one way then the other, and sometimes that. But if it's doing it with all the tapes you put in, I'm guessing it's something to do with something on the machine itself.
Yeah, I mean it is all the tapes that are put in.
I've actually got a friend who
more again, and I'll watch for what's happening with the drum and see whether or not I can get to the point where the drum is actually spinning. If it's direct drive, or that is the motor, then there is something wrong that's stopping it spinning. It is starting to spin and then stopping.
Yeah, there's multiple motors. There's a motor that pulls the tape, and then there's the motor that spins the head.
Yeah.
Actually, I have one in my shop right now. A friend of mine gave to me. It's got a VCR and a DVD recorder built into it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And his won't even accept the tape. So I'm starting to look at it now. So it's
right.
maybe
Yeah.
I'll figure something out. But I haven't gotten to the point where I can get it to load anymore.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Great. That's given me some stuff to look at. That's excellent.
sure.
Thank you very
Well,
much, Jens.
it's just about 9 o'clock in the East, or near 2 a.m. in
It is 9 p.m. on the
Carolina,
East.
and I want to thank Brian for dialing in such a long distance and sharing stories of Repair Cafe in the UK with us.
I think if you don't mind, I'm going to bid you farewell. It is 2 o'clock in the morning now, and
yes,
I think I need to catch some sleep.
yeah, we're very grateful for your participation. So we hope to see you again sometime.
I'll bid you all farewell from England, and
Yep. Cheers,
All right,
Brian.
have a good night.
good to see you. Bye-bye.
And thank you to everyone else. Thank you to our guests for presenting such interesting projects, and to all of our coaches for dialing in from all their parts of the US. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Our next Repair Cafe TV event here is going to be in July, the first Monday in July. But Ray, you maybe want to give a plug to your.
I just posted information in the chat, but we're going to have one on Saturday starting at noontime, Eastern Daylight Time. And I put in the link in the chat that you can go and sign up to either bring something that you have to fix, or to be a fixer, or to observe.
All right. Well,
Got
thanks,
it.
Ray. And then if anybody has any other questions, shout them out now. Otherwise, we'll sign off and see you all here again sometime soon.
Have a smashing evening.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Don. Nice job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.